All right, we'll go ahead and get started. My name's Johnny. I'm a master gardener, been a master gardener for 10 years. I'm also the demonstration garden chairperson, so I rally the troops when we want to plant or maintain our gardens. The butterfly garden is our first demonstration garden. We just recently planted an herb garden, demonstration garden, that's very interesting. It's planted as an herb spiral, so if you have time, that's back out in this corner here. So you might want to take a look at that. Some future gardens that we have, we're going to start planting some trees so that we can showcase some native and beautiful trees in the area. So always come back because we're having new things that we're doing all the time. So we started planting this garden in 2013. We proposed a list of plants that we wanted to see in the garden. Jody completed the design for the garden, and we provided that for you here that she talked a little bit about. We asked master gardeners what plants are they going to bring? And of course, Jody brought a lot of the plants, but most of the plants that we got in the garden were sourced from our master gardeners where they were growing them at home. And then, of course, we did buy some of the plants from local area nurseries. So we broke ground in November 2014. Like I said, it's 16 by 48 feet. It's a good size, and you may not want it or may not have to do something this big at your home. But we divided it, like Jody said, into 2 plots, actually 3 plots, and had some aisles in there, and she explained that. We did apply our herbicide to clear the area of grass, and then we tilled the soil, but we didn't add any additional soil. So this is natural soil that we use. We didn't have to amend the soil in any way. Of course, like Jody also said, we planted the right plant in the right place. We planted plants that are going to grow well. All of these plants have the same cultural requirements, pretty much. They need the same amount of light, the same amount of water. As Jody had mentioned, you don't want to plant something that's going to require a lot more water you don't want to mix all those things up in one area because you're going to only have possibly one condition in this one little plot that you're growing. Okay, so we planted the hardy plants in November 14, almost a year later. And January 15, those are in the fall is a good time to plant, not in this hot summer months. We watered heavily after we planted. This is a very important aspect. A lot of the plants are native plants in our garden, not all of them, but some of them are. So you think that they don't need, they need the same conditions. But once you put these plants in initially, you do have to water them. And one of the things that we go by is to water once a day for the first week, water once a week for the first month, and then once a month thereafter. But sometimes I even water a little bit more than that to get them established. And then we put a thick layer of pine straw on to prevent a lot of weeds from coming up. So here we are the following year, and we were very disappointed. We lost our bottle brush, but I don't think that was from the cold. It was probably just the plant wasn't a great plant or whatever, but we had a ton of weeds. But we didn't despair. We kept on going. And then, so that March, we weeded the garden. This is the first year, and we planted a lot of herbaceous plants, the coreopsis and the pentas and all the things that we're filling in. In the fall, we planted the evergreen things like Jody was telling you. She designed it for the evergreen things first. Those are the things we put in the winter. And in the spring, we came back with the more tender plants, per se, that the plants that are perennials that are going to die back every year. And so this is later on in September 15th. What is that noise? So we have very little maintenance once it's been established. We do very little weeding because we keep that layer of pine straw on the bed at all times. So every spring we do a little weeding. We add another layer of pine straw. We thin out some of the reseeded volunteers. The beach sunflower tends to really reseed a lot. So a lot of times we'll thin some of those out just because it's crowding other plants. We will cut the old bloom stems off, but well after the plant has had a chance to go to seed and to spread the seed around the garden. Also, a lot of birds like to eat the seed, and they use those bloom stems as, perches or whatever. So you don't really want to cut them off until they're absolutely no use at all, like old bloom stems maybe in the spring. And then we also plant annuals every year to add color, and we have to water those in the spring. So how does our garden grow? What do you think? I think it's very beautiful.
Johnny?
Yes.
Can I point something out?
Sure.
In the very center of your picture, you see the candlestick plant. And we'll talk about that when we get to the garden.
Right here.
We put it in the garden in late November, which missed the January 14 freeze. So it had 2 seasons where it grew 6 foot tall and bloomed profusely, and you got seeds. We'll talk about that. And so in early January, it was still 6 foot tall, but that cold, we didn't realize it was a southern plant. And that cold in January took it to the ground, and it just comes back.
And this plant is not a native. Is it tropical?
It is tropical.
It's tropical.
But
So
it does, yeah, I've had it in my yard for probably 10, 15 years, and it's reliably come back every spring it comes back.
So you're not going to see it as tall as in flower this year,
No.
but we expect it to get back that height again. It's the candlestick cassia. So we think our garden grows very well, thank you. So here's Jody's design. I'm not going to go into that again, but she put all the different sizes about how big the plants are going to get, how much space they're going to need in the garden. And so here's the list of plants that we used in the garden, or where you're going to find them. And also on the back of this is a lot of information, and this doesn't really look that great, but on the back of that design page is a list of all the plants. You'll notice that we use a lot of Latin names as well, because a lot of times you'll go into a store and say, I want Rudbeckia. Well, they may sell you a Rudbeckia from Texas, so we want to give you the botanical name so that you're sure to get the right plant that you need. And we also, that's just something that we like to promote as master gardeners, that there are different names, common names a lot of times for plants. So we want to use the botanical name as well so we get the right one we need. But it also gives you the color of the flowers, what seasons it's going to bloom, and if it's a nectar or a host plant for the butterflies. So today when we go out there, there's going to be some things in flower. Like Jody said, that she designed the garden so that we would have flowering interest throughout the year for different butterflies that come through at different times. So we're going to see the African iris. We're going to see the beach sunflower. We're going to see the bottle brush, the purple cone flowers, the coreopsis, the tick seed, which is the wildflower of Florida, the frog fruit. I'm not sure that's going to be in bloom. I just kind of, the garlic chives are in flower, the passion flower, the Mexican heather, the fennel, pentas, garlic sage, the society garlic, and the Stokes aster. But we want you to come back because there's going to be interest all throughout the year. The candlestick cassia, will that bloom this year, you think?
I think.
Okay, so later in the, late summer, the fall, come on back by and see that because it's really remarkable. The narrow-leaf sunflowers, all these things bloom a little bit later, late summer, early fall. The spotted bee balm. the Black-Eyed Susans, the Fire Spike, the Society Garlic. So we'll go out and see what's in the garden. We want you to come back in because a lot of the plants that we have show you today, we have available for you to take home. We also have some very special plants that we're going to raffle off. So if anybody doesn't have any questions, then we'll go ahead and take a look outside.
And I'll be at the herb garden if anybody wants to ask me what's the butterfly garden, I'll be back there. So how long should we spend back there and